It's 5:30, so we'll call to order this meeting for Monday, September 19th. Jordan, would you start us off with a roll call, please?
Please respond by stating present. Councilmember Ronayne.
Present.
Faubourg.
Present.
Liebelt. Reif. Johnson.
Present.
Reinbold.
Present.
Langer.
Present.
Norvstrup. Present. Mayor Schoeneman.
Present. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take a motion to approve this week's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilwoman Faubourg and a second from Councilman Reinbold. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, approval of last minutes from the meeting of September 6th. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes as printed?
So moved.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne, a second from Councilwoman Liebelt. Does anyone have anything you'd like to contribute on that, the minutes from that meeting, or is everyone good to go? All in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. I didn't see anyone signed up to speak in open forum when I arrived. So we'll move on to consent calendar, where we've got 4 items of routine city business, including lottery notices, bid dates, temporary variances of noise, and a liquor special 2-day on sale liquor license.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Anyone from the council have anything on these? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. We'll move along to our old business, where we've got the possible second reading and final adoption of our ordinance 220901, which is our 2023 appropriations ordinance. Joe.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the same ordinance we brought last time, and no changes, and staff recommends final approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Any questions from the council or input on that one? Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Faubourg.
Aye, but I abstain from the economic development in case there's monies that go to that grant at Northern.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Reif. Johnson.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got new business segment of the meeting, where first item will be the public hearing on the 2023 through 2027 capital improvement plan and possible approval of the resolution 220901R, adopting that capital improvement plan with or without amendments. And Joe will handle that one as well.
Yes, this is part of the budget you just approved, but a step farther is approving and adopting the updated 5-year capital plan. And just to throw out the numbers in 23, and we've discussed this in detail at the work session, but just so the public hears this, the capital starts off with sales tax allocation. And so this next year, 23, we're projecting $11,200,000 from the sales tax going into capital. And that goes with some other funds, whether it be general funds or enterprise funds within other city accounts, or from outside on a lot of grant-funded projects, maybe some federal sources. So the total on the 23 capital becomes $25,566,500 spent. So the sales tax is good investment, getting use some of that other funds up as well. And then we update the budgets for the next 4 years, but as we know, those change. When we get to 24, we'll update that year as well as the following 4 years, and staff recommends approval.
Move to approve the plan and resolution as presented.
Second that.
I've got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Johnson. Does anyone from the council have any questions for the city manager on this one? Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Joe, can you clarify just again the same question I asked before, just to make sure I fully understand it? The plan for the water pipeline from the Missouri how Aberdeen is setting aside funds or not yet, to make sure that we're ready to contribute to that project.
Yes, that'll be a big project. We've been setting aside a little bit of funds for water infrastructure when we were thinking some other things, but as the wind projects looks to be a cooperative effort with Webb and BDM in about a $750 million endeavor, we're kind of chasing some outside funding to get that started, and that will help us understand. But one of the things we talked about was setting aside some of the improvements until 2026. Because that will give the city some funding to put towards that project and hopefully speed that pipeline up a little bit. Otherwise, it's going to be chasing a few $1 million each year to build a few more miles, and maybe we can speed that up. But that project should get some pretty considerable wheels in the next year. But it's going to take a lot of federal funding, and we know we're a few years out from that, but we're starting to put those details together.
Thank you.
Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote on the first reading, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Langer. Councilmember Langer.
Aye. Sorry, aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the public hearing, and possible approval of our special one-day retail on-sale liquor license for the Chamber of Commerce's Business After Hours, which will take place on October 13th at the Civic Arena, and the following one on November 10th at Montgomery's, which is on 7th Avenue Southeast. Doesn't look like anyone's here to speak on behalf of either of those, so I would take the motion from the council if someone was so inclined.
So
Move to
moved.
approve.
Second.
Go either
Got a motion from Councilwoman Fulberg and a second from Councilman Reinbold. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next, we've got the similar action with the public hearing and possible approval of a one-day retail on-sale liquor license for the and community event permit for the Downtown Association's Wine Walk, which occurs on various business locations along Main Street from 6th Avenue to the Railroad Avenue. Nobody from downtown, so I would take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilwoman Liebelt and a second from Councilman Ronayne. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Move along to our last one of its kind. We've got, or not quite, actually. We've got a 5-day retail on-sale liquor license for September 21st through the 25th for Act 2, which is the Community Theater on South Main Street from, can I get a motion for that?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Reinbold, second from Ronayne. Nothing from the crowd. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion does carry. Lastly, we've got our public hearing and possible approval of a one-day retail on-sale liquor license for the date of December 3rd at the community event permit for Avera St. Luke's Foundation's Deck the Halls, which will take place at their Human Performance Center on 1st Avenue. Anybody?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Liebelt. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next, we've got our possible approval to authorize the city manager to sign the South Dakota Department of Transportation Section 5339 grant contract, which is numbered 811843. Amendment number 2, which extends the period of the performance for the Aberdeen Ride Line to 9/30 of the year 2023 and reduces 22% of the federal funds involved. Rich is here to tell us about that. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Krokel.
Yes, thank you. The wording of this is actually a little bit confusing. Our grant really is not reduced. The original grant was, the agreement was $259,670, and we've spent down $56,739, so that's at 22%. So this amendment would be to extend that grant into next September 2023
Move to approve.
for $202,000.
Second.
I've got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Johnson. Does anyone have any questions for our transportation director while he's here on the topic? Councilwoman?
This grant was a federal grant, is that right?
Yes.
And we were supposed to spend this much in a year, but we only spent 56,000, or how does it work? I wasn't
This
here.
grant originated in 2020,
Okay,
but then with all the stuff going on,
Yep.
it just kept getting extended. We've still got vehicles from 2020 that we're waiting for.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be mostly for purchasing vehicles?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else from the council have any questions as it pertains to this grant? All right, Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye. Next, we've got our possible approval of payments for the work on the airport improvement projects and to authorize the city manager to sign those pay requests. Pay request number 34 is for taxiway geometry to Helms and Associates for the price of $17,405.07. Payment number 18 is for the apron reconstruction to Helms and Associates for the amount of $3,190.66. And Rich, still up here to tell us about those payments.
Yes, so for 7G1, this is the taxiway geometry improvements project, which was 100% federally funded. We're just paying for a little bit of engineering and administration services and construction observation.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Johnson. Does anyone have anything to contribute on this topic before we take a vote? Jordan?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
I lost her.
Just-
Did
Got
you want me to
nothing this
cover
meeting.
7G2 first or not? I might have confused myself.
How about we'll?
I think we're good.
Okay.
so we're voting on item 7G1 and 2. Councilmember Langer,
Yes, I'm here.
is that an aye vote?
Yes.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Rich, thanks for joining us. If you prefer to fill us in on the details of that one, you've got the floor.
Yeah, so this one is actually covered at covered on bill money, so it's 95%, 2.5% city, 2.5% state. And this is for bidding services for our next project, which is reconstruction of the general aviation ramp for next year.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Rich,
you.
appreciate you joining us here tonight. Next, we've got our possible approval of a pay request numbered 4 in the amount of $8,218.80 to B&B Contracting for work on the 3rd Avenue Southeast Reconstruction Project. City Engineer Robin Bob Zine will fill us in on those details.
So this is a project we completed last year, and this is just the final paperwork to pay out retainage for the contractor.
Move to approve it. Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson and a second from Councilman Reinbold. Does anybody have any questions for Robin on this one? Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Abstain.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Rob, I hope you worked on that road project. That'd be
You
a lot
know,
of fun.
that's
Out
how
there
I get
with
my
our-
suntan.
with the shovel. Next, we've got our possible. Sorry, trying to lighten the mood a little bit. My jokes don't always fall.
Don't always know their jokes.
Yeah, no, I've been told not to try. Next, we've got our possible approval of the pay request number 2 in the amount of $6,635.23 to Lean Transportation for the Old Highway 281 overlay improvement projects. Robin?
Kind of the same deal. We completed the work last year. There was a little warranty work that was done on it this early summer. We have seal coated it since. The project is in good shape, and we recommend approval to pay out the final retainage.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson, second from Councilman Ronayne. Any questions from the council on this final payment? Jordan?
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got the possible approval of the pay request number 2. This one amounts to $441,325.47 to B&B Contracting, and this is for the work on the Klein Street Storm Sewer Improvements Project. Robin, last payment from you for the evening. What have you got?
Well, of course, the confusing thing is we call it Klein Street, but it's the work's actually on Dakota Street. So I apologize for that. That's goofed a lot of people up over the last couple weeks. They have completed all the water and sewer, sanitary sewer. They're working on completion of the storm sewer portion now, big pipe. And as I told you, I think it was a couple weeks ago, this has been a little bit of a challenge because they did create an outer shell around it. So they're having some additional demolition to do as part of this project, but it is moving ahead. And part of this, you'll be paying for materials on hand, as well as the construction portion. It's about a 50-50 split right now.
David, would you like to move this one?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Got a motion from Councilman Norvstrup and a second from Councilwoman Fulberg. Did we move this one already? No, we didn't.
No.
I didn't think we had. Everyone's super quiet.
No, just Robin was worried that this was gonna fail.
Yeah. I'm waiting for, imagine we're waiting for more jokes, but not the case. Not the case. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote? Seeing no questions from the council.
Councilmember Ronayne.
Abstain.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our review and approval of the bills, which is this week's list from September 19th. Take a motion to approve these bills.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilwoman Liebelt. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote paying these bills, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Ronayne.
Abstain.
Mayor Shoneman.
Abstain, but the motion still does pass. Next, we've got our city manager's report with our city manager, Joe Gott. Joe, what have you got for us tonight?
Just a brief one. I just want to focus on the September 22 milestone anniversaries. We have 2, so it's a rather short list, but a little bit unique in how we're going to do them. But the first one is a 15-year milestone anniversary in the police department. And when I tell you it's Randy Majeski, you're going to say he's been here far longer than 15 years. And that's true. So Randy was with us as a police officer and a sergeant on the commission side for, I think, 22 years. Took the early retirement and decided he wasn't ready to retire yet. So took a position on the civilian side, so we get to start him all over. So he put in 22 years the first time and is on year 15 already. So that's pretty impressive. And he was pretty excited today getting it, and it was kind of a fun experience to do that. And then the next one we're going to do really differently. I have never done this before without presenting it to them before. Well, maybe there was once or twice, but usually they have received their certificate before we announce it publicly. But this next one I just thought maybe you might want to help me with, because this one's Mary Campton in finance. And so she is very important to this council because, one, she puts the packets together. For all the folks that asked for liquor licenses tonight. She's the first person they talk to. She does all the routing for that. So if you're putting on an event, Mary Campton is very important to you. And she makes sure that all the things as far as publications and state guidelines, and we're doing things right. So she keeps us on task. And she's just great. And it's important. But a fun thing is she will likely, first thing in the morning, come in and start listening to this meeting. So I thought it might be a good idea for her to know that we know that tomorrow is her 40th anniversary, 40 full-time years. I believe she has some part-time service before that. So 40 full-time years plus some. So I thought maybe you might just want to give Mary a round of applause to wake her up in the morning. And that's probably going to get me killed, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate all your help with all the liquor license questions. That's a very popular topic among citizens in this community for one reason or another. All right, with that, I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting. Oh, go ahead.
Just ask a quick question of Robin. Can you provide an update on the South Roosevelt Roadway project?
So the South Roosevelt project, they are starting to make some good headway now. They've gotten out of the seriously wet material, and they're making much better progress right now. So here shortly, they will reroute some sanitary sewer again for the pumping side of it, and they'll be pumping out of the 6th Avenue portion and getting down to the manholes that they've already installed. So they're kind of in the home stretch now. Very deep work, and we are thinking that we don't want to put the concrete back this year because it's probably going to fail, and we're going to end up having to redo it next year. So we are coming up with a plan. We'll probably be doing some asphalt paving as a temporary, get us through the winter deal, more of a throwaway type thing, but we do anticipate some settlement just due to the depth and type of construction. So we're rethinking that, but we're hoping, I really hesitate to give a time frame, but a couple weeks things will look a much differently than it does right now.
Thank you.
And on that note, real quick, North Dakota Street has got to be, just clean up that mess. And
Yep, they've got most of the backfilling done. I think the concrete tie-ins for the driveways, things like that, they anticipate being done with that here, I think Tuesday, Wednesday. They'll be doing the crack sealing and the cleanup type work toward the end of the week and early into Monday. We'd probably anticipate Monday, Tuesday of opening that up to be ready.
Councilwoman
I have a
Hogan?
question about North Dakota Street, north of Fairgrounds. Just wondering, as we expand the city's imprint with, the Happy Development up there, I realize that's a county road and there's more development going on up there right now. If you could just explain, how does the city work with the county to bring those roads into the city, and then how do you all plan as those roads come into the city to make sure that there's bike path along there, because there's quite a few young children that are trying to get down to Holgate and CC Lee, and the speed limit's pretty high too.
Yeah, and I think Joe and I will tag team this. I think he had put together a fairly detailed response to you earlier last week. So Joe, if you want to, and I'll add on it.
Yes, that is true. It even took me a while. That was one of the first things I heard about when I came to town, was that, boy, we need to do that street. So that's not technically a city street yet, but we know that the city has grown out that way. So we've had some preliminary discussions. We're also preparing that perhaps as South Dakota or Dakota gets finished down to 6th Avenue, we might have all of the things in place for that. Harrison Street that's being constructed was meant as kind of a way to start a detour for when that's done. So some of the early things are happening, and so that's still down the road a little ways, but we know at some point in time we're going to have to assume that, or at least part of it, and probably take the lead to make that a city standard street. That'll probably involve reconstructing the trail that's there, because it's kind of laid in the ditch right now, and connecting the rest of that to it. But why don't you now talk about the speed type of obstacles?
So I did visit with Dirk Rogers last week about this very thing, and apparently some folks from there have reached out to the county as well. It sounds like they may even be dealing with that tomorrow at the county commission meeting. So there will be some discussion about whether or not speed limits should be altered. maybe at least in that last half mile north of Fairgrounds Road. I did also visit with Mr. Rogers about the idea of maybe extending that bike path, and that was a discussion that took place probably 4 years ago maybe with County Commission, where they gave us the blessing to go ahead, as long as they weren't having to invest any money in it. It was really to take care of those kids, primarily the kids to get to Holgate. But in addition to that, especially during the fair, there's quite a bit of foot traffic that may go from the Holgate area, and they can come in the backside, but we did not extend up to that back entrance along Dakota Street for the fairgrounds, primarily because there was so much construction activity happening. It would have been ruined in that first year anyway. So that may be something we can look at, extending that piece here this fall. But it's a little bit at a time, and we get a lot more challenging crossing the levee. It's going to require a permit from the Corps, and also there's significant drainage things we'd have to deal with north of the levee. There's a lot of water that comes through there, so of course that levee is there for a purpose, and that's because there is a lot of water on that side. So,
I mean, that bike trail doesn't go all the way to the levee currently, does it? It
no,
stops at
we
pretty much
stopped
those southern
short
streets.
because of the construction that was going to have to take place. Now most of that is done, with the exception, I think the lot directly south of the levee is still open, but the rest of it I think is pretty well completed there.
And the levee is pretty much in line with that back entrance of the
Yes.
Fairgrounds Road.
Correct.
So I'd been talking to Mark about that, but I guess I should have just went to you. I thought maybe Parks and Rec would be the ones to be doing that. So maybe everyone's working on it separately and independently, I guess. But better too many people than too few.
Sure.
With that, I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Move to adjourn.
A motion from Councilman Johnson, second from Councilman Northstrip. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Thank you all very much.